Good morning, students. So today we are going to learn about current electricity, and this is very important chapter as per our board examinations because meter bridge like Wheatstone's network, Kelvin's method, potentiometer, their applications, these very important practicals we are already performing in physics laboratory on the given chapter current electricity. So when we discuss about this chapter, according to board examination, according to their weightage of marks on the board examination, so it is possibility to 3 marks question, theoretical questions is asking on the same chapter current electricity. So that's why this is very essential, and I think so it is very easy chapter to write on the board examination. So that's why we are discuss the current electricity. Actually this is our second lecture. First lecture we are already given, and if you are the first time visited on my YouTube channel, so first see on my first lecture, because Kirchhoff's first law and Kirchhoff's second law, that is very important concepts we are already discussed for the previous lecture. And after that today we are discuss the Wheatstone's network and their applications. Okay, the remaining points from this chapter. But when we before started the Wheatstone's network, so we can revise what is actual what is actual Kirchhoff's first law and Kirchhoff's second law. So in the previous lecture, we are already discussed the Kirchhoff's first law, that is law of junction, law of electric current, and the second law of potential, that is law of voltage. So we can revise the only statement of Kirchhoff's first law of junction. So algebraic sum of electric current at any point of junction is equal to 0. It means that summation I is equal to 0. Algebraic sum of algebraic sum of electric current at the point of junction is equal to 0. So let's imagine that this is a conductor, okay, and let's imagine that this is a junction P, okay. So this electric current I is passing through the conductor, and imagine that if this current is split between two directions, let's see, this is opposite directions. So these two electric currents are moving away from the junction, and this electric current is moving towards the junction. With the help of sign convention, we are good familiar about this. Those electric current moving towards the junction is positive, and those electric current is moving away from the junction, that is negative. And we know that when the I electric current passing towards the junction, so they will be split into two directions, and which is denoted by I1 and I2. So electric current will split directly. Okay, so when we use the Kirchhoff's first law, that is law of electric current, the algebraic sum of electric current at any point of junction is equal to 0 with the help of sign convention. So we know that I is positive because this is moving towards the junction, and I1 and I2 is negative because this electric current is moving away from the junction. It means minus I1 and minus I2, this is equal to 0. This is the first concept of Kirchhoff's first law, that is electric current. Electric current moving towards the junction is positive, and those electric current is moving away from the junction, that is negative. So it means that we can find out I is equal to I1 plus I2, and with the help of same law, now we are discuss the same total electric current moving towards the junction is exactly equal to the total electric current passing away from the junction, because we are observe the same only I electric current passing towards the junction, and the same electric current is I split into two direction, and which is denoted by I1 and I2. It means the electric current passing towards the junction is exactly equal to the total electric current passing away from the junction. It is very important. The Kirchhoff's first law, that is law of electric current. And after that we are discuss the Kirchhoff's second law, the law of potential. Okay, actually we know that the potential as per Ohm's law, V is equal to IR. So we are discuss the statement of Kirchhoff's second law, that is law of potential. The algebraic sum of potential, all potentials in the electrical network, plus the algebraic sum of all EMF is equal to 0. So the same statement we can write here, summation V means what, IR, plus the summation of EMF, so this is equal to 0. This is the statement of second law, that is law of potential difference, Kirchhoff's second law. And what is their sign convention? So their sign convention is very easy to understand. If the direction of tracing is exactly similar to the direction of electric current, remember that, it is very important. If the direction of tracing is exactly similar to the direction of electric current, now imagine that their potential difference is negative. Okay, so let's imagine that this is a cell okay, and there is one resistance will connect it here, and we are moving from A to B, okay. So let's see, this is the direction of electric current and this is I. When we moving from A to B, so this is the direction of tracing, we are moving from A to B and the direction of electric current is exactly similar, it means that their potential is negative, okay. Otherwise, if the direction of tracing and the direction of electric current is exactly opposite, it means that we are moving from B to A, this is the direction of tracing. So simply the potential is positive, okay, the potential will be positive, you get it. And one another very important sign convention about EMF. So if the direction of tracing is negative terminal to positive, negative to positive, this is the direction of tracing, this is the direction of tracing, okay. So if the direction of tracing from negative to positive, so imagine that the potential is positive, okay. And if the direction of tracing is positive to negative, so imagine that their potential is negative, okay. These are very important sign conventions for the Kirchhoff's second law of potential difference. And with the help of these all concepts, so let's discuss what is the actual concept of Wheatstone's network. This is very important part from this chapter, okay. So let's discuss the next point from this chapter, that is Wheatstone's network. So let's remember this. So let's start at the new point from this chapter, that is Wheatstone's network. So by using Wheatstone's network, now we find out the unknown resistance, okay. So we find out the unknown resistance in the range of 10 ohm to 100 ohm, okay. In the range of 10 ohms to 100 ohms, this range of resistance we have find out with the help of Wheatstone's network. This Wheatstone's network is designed by the physicist Wheatstone, okay. So with the help of this, we can easily find out the unknown resistance in the given wire. Actually, we know that the resistance is already present in bulb, wire, like in any electrical instrument, the resistance will be present. And this unknown electrical resistance, we are determined with the help of this network, and this network is called Wheatstone's network. So how to determine the unknown resistance between 10 ohms to 100 ohm by using this Wheatstone's network? So we can discuss here. Actually, this Wheatstone's network, it consists of 4 resistance, okay. And these 4 resistance are connected in quadrilateral form between the points A, B, C, D. So how to connect it? Let's see here. Imagine that these 4 quadrilateral points will be denoted by here A, B, C, D. There are 4 quadrilateral points. We can draw the circuit here. So imagine that this is first resistance, and this first resistance will be connected here. So there are second resistance, so after that there is third resistance will be here, and the last fourth resistance will connected here. So imagine that there are 4 resistance, and these 4 resistance are connected in quadrilateral, and this quadrilateral form will be denoted by A, B, C and D. Imagine that, okay. And this resistance, 4 resistance will denoted by P, Q, R, S. So P, Q, R, S is the 4 resistance, because Wheatstone's network, it consists of 4 resistance P, Q, R, S, and these 4 resistance are connected in quadrilateral A, B, C, D. So between the point B and D, the sensitive galvanometer will be connected. This is galvanometer, okay, whose resistance is denoted by G. And between the junction A and C, so let's imagine that the cell of EMF E, okay, this is cell of EMF E, and the key are connected, okay. So between the point C and A, so cell of EMF E and the key are connected. This is very simple circuit diagram for Wheatstone's network. So after that, what is actual working of Wheatstone's network? Let's imagine the key will be closed, okay. So what happen when the key will be closed? So simply electric current passing through the circuit. Okay, this electric current I, imagine that, is passing through the circuit. And when this electric current I passing through the circuit, this electric current reaches at the terminal A. So A is the higher potential terminal of the given circuit as compared to the C. Okay, so when this I current reaches at the junction A, so we are observed the same, this electric current is split into two different directions. And this current is split is I1 and that is I2. So this electric current will be split here. So I1 electric current passing through the resistance P and I2 electric current passing through the resistance S. But when the same electric current I1 is passing through the resistance P and reaches at the point of B, so we are observed the same, again electric current I1 will be split, some electric current passing through the galvanometer and other electric current passing through the resistance Q. So electric current passing through the galvanometer, so this electric current will be denoted by Ig. Ig is the electric current passing through the galvanometer. And the remaining electric current will passing through the resistance Q. So this electric current is denoted by I1 minus Ig, because some electric current will be passing here between I1. So it means that here remaining current is I1 minus Ig and here Ig. Okay, the same electric current observed here I2. I2 is passing through the S. Okay, same here, and it reaches at the junction D. I2 current reaches at the point D, and after that the same electric current I2 passing through the resistance R. But this Ig is also reaches at the point of D, and Ig and I2 both electric current passing through the resistance R. It means that here the electric current is denoted by I2 and Ig. These two electric current are combinedly passing between the resistance R and both reaches at the point C and towards the negative terminal of cell. So this is the total arrangement of Wheatstone's network. Okay, so but after that, when this total electric current is passing between the whole circuit, so then after the one very important case will occur between the given circuit. So let's imagine that the central tab B and this is one another tab that is D. Imagine that this junction B and D. If the total potential at the point of B and at the point of D is exactly similar, so this is the balancing condition of the network. And if we find out the balancing condition of network, so there is no any electric current passing through the galvanometer. So it means that Ig is equal to 0. Now actually this total Wheatstone's network is work with the help of Kirchhoff's first law and also the Kirchhoff's second law. So with the help of Kirchhoff's first law of junction, so we know that when the key is closed, the electric current I is passing through the circuit, and when they reaches at the point of A, they split into I1 and I2. So it means that the total electric current is denoted by I, and this is equal to the I1 plus I2. So let's see here. This is the concept of Kirchhoff's first law of electric current, that is law of junction. And with the help of Kirchhoff's second law of potential, so we know that there are two loops present in the given circuit. So the first loop A, B, D and A, and the second loop B, C, D and again B. So between these two loops, what is the actual potential difference passing through the circuit? So by using Kirchhoff's second law of potential, so we are determine the first concept in the given loop A, B, D and E. So what is the Kirchhoff's second law of potential difference? Let's see, the direction of tracing is B, A to B, B to D, D to again A. So this is the direction of tracing, and let's see the direction of electric current is exactly similar. So it means that we find out the negative of potential, that is I1 is the electric current and the resistance will be denoted by P. So minus I1P from A to B. So when we moving from B to D, so electric current is denoted by Ig, but whose direction of electric current and the direction of tracing is exactly similar. So it means that again we find out minus Ig, and the resistance of galvanometer will be denoted by G, so IgG. So we are reaches at the point of D, and after that when we trace from D to A, so direction of tracing and the direction of electric current is exactly opposite. So it means that we get here positive, the electric current is I2 and the resistance will be denoted by S. This is equal to 0. call equation number 1 and call equation number 2. So this is the Kirchhoff's second law, the proof of Kirchhoff's second law, law of potential in the given loop ABDA. Now exactly we find out the second condition for the second loop B, C, D and again B, the closed loop. Okay, and between this loop, so what we find out the Kirchhoff's first law, that is law of potential. So let's see, we are moving from B to C. The direction of tracing and direction of electric current is exactly similar. So it means that we find out the negative potential, and negative potential is electric current into the resistance. So electric current is represent I1 minus Ig into the resistance Q. Okay. So after that we are moving from C to D. The direction of tracing and the direction of electric current is exactly opposite. So it means that we find out the positive potential, and this positive potential is represent I2 plus G, that is Ig. I2 plus Ig into the resistance will be denoted by R. And when we moving from D to B, so their resistance will be denoted by positive. Okay, and we find out Ig, the resistance G, this is equal to 0, call equation number 3. Let's observe the equation number 2 and 3. We find out the proof of Kirchhoff's second law, law of potential difference. But after that we know that very well, the special case will occur in the given circuit. The total potential difference at the point of B is exactly similar the total potential difference at the point of D. Okay, so potential at the point of B is exactly similar to the potential at the point of D. And what happens when the potential at the point B and D is exactly similar? So it is very important to need to understand, when the potential at the point B and D is exactly similar, it means that there is no any electric current passing through the galvanometer. And if electric current cannot passing through the galvanometer, it means that galvanometer does not shows any deflection. This condition of the network is balancing condition of the network. And when we find out the balancing condition of network, so we are repeated the equation number 2 and 3 because their value of Ig is equal to 0 after the balancing condition of network. So we find out the balancing condition of network, and the value of electric current passing through the galvanometer is 0. So we put the value of Ig is equal to 0 from equation number 2 and 3. So what we find out the equation number of 2. So repeat the equation number of 2, because the value of Ig is equal to 0. So we find out minus I1, and that is P. So we find out minus I1P, that is minus Ig. Ig is equal to 0. So G is equal to 0. So we find out plus I2S, this is equal to 0. Call equation number 4. Okay. So after that, let's see here. Therefore, so minus I1P plus I2S is equal to 0. It means this equation we can write I1P is exactly equal to the I2S. So call this is equation number 4. Okay, this is our equation number 4. And let's repeat the same equation number 3. Now let's see the equation number 3 is minus I1 minus Ig into Q, but Ig is equal to 0. So it means that we can write here negative of sign, only remaining I1 because Ig is 0. So I1Q plus, let's see here Ig bit 0. So I2R, again Ig will be 0, so this is equal to 0. So it means that the same expression we can find out here, I1Q, this is equal to I2R. Call equation number 5. Let's observe the equation number 4 and 5, and let's dividing equation 4 by 5. So we find out the balancing condition of the network when we're dividing equation number 4 and 5. So let's dividing. So what is equation number 4? So that is I1P, this is equal to I2S, so whole divided by here I1Q, and this is equal to here I2R. So I1 cancel, I2 get cancelled. So we find out P upon Q, this is equal to S upon R. So this is the balancing condition of the network. Okay, this is the balancing condition of the network, and we are observe the same P upon Q is equal to S upon R. So P, Q, S, R, there are 4 resistance. And with the help of this balancing condition, if we know any 3 resistance, the 4th unknown resistance we are determined easily by using this network, Wheatstone's network. So this is very essential when we measure the resistance between the range of 10 ohms to 100 ohms. Okay, so this equation number, imagine that 6, this equation number 6 indicates that the balancing condition of the network. So you get it this? Okay, this electrical circuit is very important. There are 4 resistance P, Q, R, S, and these 4 resistance are connected in quadrilateral form, quadrilateral A, B, C, D. Okay, and between the terminal B and D we can connect it the sensitive galvanometer. Okay, and between the point A and C we are connected the cell of EMF E and the key. And we know that when the key is closed, electric current will passing at the higher potential term A, and they split from I1 and I2 from P and S. Okay, and with the help of this, finally by using the Kirchhoff's second law of potential, so we find out the balancing condition of the network. Okay, so you remember that when we use the applications, when we discuss about applications of Wheatstone's network, actually use of Wheatstone's network, so then after we find out the balancing condition, and when we find out the balancing condition in the given network, so potential at the point of B is exactly equal to the potential at the point of D. It means that there is no electric current passing through the galvanometer is 0. Okay, so Ig is equal to 0. And if electric current cannot passing through the galvanometer, so it means that the potential at the point of B is exactly equal to the potential at the point of D. So this balancing condition is represent the potential at the point of B is exactly the potential at the point of D, and this balancing condition numerically represent here P upon Q is equal to S upon R. I hope to understand the very important term that is Wheatstone's network. Okay, so let's discuss after the Wheatstone's network what is actual applications of Wheatstone's network, and the first application we have discussed, meter bridge. Okay, so I can rub this applications of Wheatstone's network, and let's discuss the first application, meter bridge. So meter bridge is the modification of Wheatstone's network, and with the help of this meter bridge we are determine the unknown resistance of the given wire. So what is actual the working of meter bridge, and it is the application of Wheatstone's network. So let's discuss. So meter bridge, it consists of a 1 meter long a uniform cross section wire. Okay, so let's imagine that this is a long uniform wire of 1 meter length. So let's see, this is the wire. So imagine that this is wire, and this wire is denoted by AC. Imagine that AC is the long uniform wire, and this long uniform wire is passing on the meter scale. So imagine that this is a meter scale having scale mark. Okay, so wire AC passing on the meter scale. Now the two ends of the wire AC are fixed through the two metal strips. So imagine that there are two L-shaped metal strips, and with the help of two L-shaped metal strips, the two ends of the wire AC are fixed. So let's see, there are two L-shaped metal strips, and through the two L-shaped metal strips the wire AC will be fixed. Let's see, this is first L-shaped metal strip and this is second L-shaped metal strip, and imagine that one another central metal strip will fix between the two L-shaped metal strips, and if this third metal strip will be fixed, so we find out two gaps, that is left gap in the given circuit, and this is the second gap. Okay, so right gap, and this is left gap and this is right gap. So this middle terminal is denoted by B. Okay, so between the wire AC, so we are connected the cell of EMF E, key and rheostat. Okay, and rheostat are connected in series. This is K and this is cell of EMF E. Okay, the cell of EMF E, K and rheostat are connected in series between the wire AC. Now imagine that in the left gap we are connected the unknown resistance, and this unknown resistance is denoted by X, and on the right gap, so we are connected the resistance box, and this resistance box is denoted by RB. So RB is the resistance box. So resistance box is connected in the right gap and unknown resistance is connected in left gap. The central metal strip at the point of B, so their one end is connected to the sensitive galvanometer G, whose resistance is G, and whose another terminal is connected to the jockey. So jockey is denoted by J, so it is a Neff edge slided key. So this is the total circuital arrangement of the meter bridge. So let's see, we are discuss once again. So meter bridge, it consists of a long having uniform cross sectional area of wire AC, and this wire is passing on the meter scale and they are arranged on the wooden board. So at the point of A and C we are connected two metal strips, and between these two metal strips we are again arranged the one another central metal strip. They are having two gaps, so left gap and that is the right gap. Between the wire AC we are connected the cell of EMF E key, and that is rheostat in series, and in the left gap we are connected the resistance unknown resistance, and in the right gap we are connected the resistance box. Okay, so after that, if imagine that the key will be closed, and when the key will be closed, so we know that the electric current passing through the given circuit, and when the electric current passing through the given circuit, so then after this jockey initially touch near to the point A, and after that it touch near to the point C, and observe the deflection of galvanometer. If we are observe the deflection of galvanometer is exactly opposite, so it means that the connections of the given circuit is proper. And if the deflections are only in one side when the jockey touches at the point A and C, so just adjust the rheostat and the resistance in the given resistance box and observe the deflection of galvanometer. Okay, so if the deflection of galvanometer is exactly opposite when the jockey touches at the point A and when touches at the point C, so just imagine that the connections is proper. Okay, so after that, take the suitable resistance in the resistance box. When we take the suitable value of resistance in the resistance box and then after again touch the jockey at the point of A and at the point of C, so we are already checked the deflections of galvanometer is exactly opposite. So it means that when the jockey touches between the wire AC at the different points, so when the jockey touches at the point of D, we are observe the same, the deflection of galvanometer is exactly 0, because when the jockey touches at here at the point of A and at the point of C, the deflection of galvanometer is exactly opposite. So actually imagine that this is the center of the galvanometer, that is 0, and here the range, imagine that 1 2 3, so exactly here 1 2 3. Okay, so when the jockey touches at the point of A, imagine that the deflection is here, but exactly similar when the jockey touches at the point of C, the deflection of galvanometer is exactly opposite. So it means that the corrections are properly connected. And when the jockey touches at the point of D, so galvanometer does not shows any deflection, the total electric current passing through the galvanometer will be 0 at this condition. So this condition is called balancing condition of the network, because as per the previous point, that is the concept of Wheatstone's bridge, Wheatstone's network, we are already discussed when the potential at the point of B and D is exactly similar between this quadrilateral, we are observe the same. When the potential at the point on D is exactly similar, there is no any electric current passing through the galvanometer. It means that when the jockey touches at the point of D, we are observe the same, the total deflection of galvanometer is 0. So this point is called null point. Okay, this point is called the null point on the given network. So this condition is called balancing condition of the network. Okay, and we will find out there are four resistance. The first resistance will be denoted by unknown resistance, that is X. The second we take the known resistance in the given resistance box, that is R. And let's see, the fourth resistance will be denoted by between the wire AD, so whose length will be denoted by LX. And here the second resistance of wire D to C, whose length will be denoted by LR. So LX and LR, there are two resistance of wire AD and DC, and one another resistance will be denoted by X and R. So we know the 4 resistance. This is unknown resistance. We take the suitable value of the resistance in the resistance box. So this is known resistance. So this Lx and Lr we are easily measure with the help of meter scale. It means that Lx and Lr both resistance are measurable. So it means we know these 3 resistance. So definitely with the help of balancing condition of network, we are determine the unknown resistance X, and we know that this balancing condition will be denoted by, so X upon R, this is equal to Lx upon Lr. So there are 4 resistance. So with the help of this known 3 resistance, so unknown resistance X we are determined easily. So let's imagine that the total length of the wire will be denoted by L, their cross-sectional area will be denoted by D, and the resistance per unit length will be denoted by sigma. If the resistance per unit length of the wire will be denoted by sigma, so X upon R is equal to sigma Lx upon sigma Lr. So what is Lx and what is Lr? So Lx means what? Lx is the resistance of wire. Lx is the resistance of wire AD of length Lx, and what is Lr? Lr is the resistance of wire, that is DC. Okay, so it means that X upon R is equal to, we find out Lx upon Lr, and finally we find out X. So X is equal to R into Lx upon Lr. So with the help of this formula, we are easily determine the unknown resistance X. X is equal to R into Lx upon Lr. And when we find out Lx, actually this is a meter scale, that is 100 centimeter. If imagine that we find out the value of Lx is 30, so the remaining value, that is Lr. Lr is, we find out easily, that is 70 centimeter, and this value we can find out by using simple formula. X is equal to R into Lx. And what is Lr? So Lr is the 100 minus Lx. So we can easily find out the value of Lr. So by using this expression, we are determining the unknown resistance in the given wire. Okay. So this is first important application of Wheatstone's network, that is meter bridge, and meter bridge is the modification of Wheatstone's network. So with the help of this formula, X is equal to R into Lx upon 100 minus Lx, we are easily determine the unknown resistance if we know these 3 resistance. I hope to understand. This is very easy to understand. This is actually this experiment we are already done in the physics laboratory. So that's why it is more easy to understand what is the actual concept, how to find out the unknown resistance of the given wire by using this formula. Okay. So I hope to understand. So we can stop here.